Hi, I'm good. Oh, well, I was waiting for you to diagnose your other issue. And so, okay. Hello. I, I hope everyone can hear us. Uh, that'd be safe. That- guys, it's the first stream of the new year. If we don't have problems, there's something wrong. But we seem to be on. Yeah. Hello, Pierre. Hello, Dominic. Hello, Stig. Hello. Anyone else here that I didn't see? He says David is muted. But then how could they hear me? I can hear David. Can you guys hear David? Because I can hear David.
Not good. Let's do this. Okay, now they can hear me. Maybe 1 sec.
I hope.
My audio source was wrong. Hello, everybody.
Now can you hear
now
David?
You can hear me, right? Greg is okay.
I certainly hope
Greg's always okay. I mean, he's an okay dude. Yeah, we're not showing that one, but I like the comment. I should be live now, I think. Ish.
I can never. Hi,
morning.
Pierre. There's a little bit of lag. I don't know.
We're sending lots of packets to YouTube, and they are not accepting them. It's like a bad postal service during Christmas. Delivery delayed.
Okay.
We got 6,000. We're sending more packets than usual. I'll keep working and clicking things.
Well, hopefully everything is.
Yes.
Going to
so
be okay.
Let's start.
But
with
anyway,
the stuff.
Yes. Happy New Year to all.
If I had champagne, we could.
I have
champagne.
a pop.
But Happy New Year, sincerely. Welcome to 2022.
Yeah. Yes. Did you like my title, David?
Your title, David. Yes. 2020.
Yeah.
It feels like we're still in there. Yep. But such is the way. Such is the way.
Yeah. I think I think we need to
Oh heck yeah,
thank
we
a few
do. One
people
sec,
though.
I just gotta click the S button here, and then we're gonna do this. Um, so we have this list, and this list of people are awesome. Held is at the top, but everybody on this list is important to us. List.
They make
Yeah.
things
We
possible.
sure
around here.
appreciate y'all. If you wanted to check stuff out, it's
we
patreon.com/readymake.
Yeah, and we have great conversations in Discord. Stig was just posting his progress on his vinyl cutter that he's working on.
Yep.
Converting a printer. And so he's had some successes, and now he's going to continue with that. And so that's kind of cool. So if you want to follow that kind of stuff, join us, and you get access to our Patreon, and you get all that kind of stuff.
Then there also is the Patreon live chats or stream things, which historically have been at the end of the month-ish now, so end of the month,
typically.
Expect that. And by no means is there a requirement to join anything.
No, but it's just kind of nice to get to interact face to face with our community, which is really cool. So,
So we've been new stuff finally happened, but it took a new year to actually happen. But it's here.
It did.
I don't know. The first new one is new. We've been following the release clients and stuff for Process Slicer for a bit. But 2.4.0 officially here. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Oh.
Yeah, I've actually been using it kind of all Christmas and whatnot, and I've tweaked it a bit and turned on dark mode.
Knows that things run 700% better in dark mode, and you can quote me on that. Yeah, dark mode uses less RAM. It optimizes processors. What other claims can I make? It looks really.
It looks cool.
Super cool. I should have said Tuesday. Right? I saw that on the meme. I'm like, here we go. Everybody's gonna be like, this is the only 222. And I'm like, yeah. But with Process Slicer, there are some feature updates that might affect you, other than dark mode, because optimizing your processor with dark mode. They've been doing a lot. The most important ones, I think, is the bridging. So they've changed actually how the compiler handles bridging to make it a little more efficient and look better.
Interfacing between supports.
Yep. So you're going to get better supports, and they're starting to add a few features that kind of cross over to the Kira realm of things. And they even say they ported it from Kira, the fuzzy skin.
Yeah, they credited them, which is that's the one thing I got to give them props for, is they always make sure that they credit where they get they get a new feature from someone else,
which is
they
sweet,
credit
right?
them, which is good.
I like the execution of the fuzzy skin, because it's much like their other features where you can like paint on or use an object modifier to add fuzzy skin, so that's kind of cool. The other one that they did add that's similar, now I have to scroll down because I kind of forget a little bit. Oh yes, is they've added two things. They've added those shapes, so you can add simple shapes now to your build plate. But the cool part is with those shapes, you can use negate volumes, and then subtract the shape from a model you already have. So if you wanted to add holes or something like that, you could do it.
Well, they've always had the shapes, but it was more for if you wanted to add a little block to something, or you wanted to add a support in a specific area. But that now that you can punch holes through stuff and whatnot, you can do a quick maybe change or edit. That's
the
really
shapes
cool.
that changed that before they just had simple, like they had a box, a cylinder, right? But now they have like Taurus and
sure.
like there's a whole gallery of shapes. So they've
I haven't played with that yet.
It does.
It looks pretty cool. All the stuff they've added, and then they've enhanced the paint on supports too, and they've added a feature. Before, if you've ever had to work with that little slider they had to adjust the size of what you're working with their paint on or whatever you're doing, now you click there and it put in a value of like 2.
Yeah, and then it's like,
you don't have to be like almost 2.
but not quite. There's the like I'm gonna have a hard time thinking about it now, and I shouldn't. Why can't I think of it, Greg? I was like, oh yeah, model simplification. That's the words I'm looking for.
Yes.
You can now, if like the example they give, like on their press release, is if you were doing a 3D scanned model. So like, if you had like Scandy or something on your phone, or you owned I forget what they're called, RevPoint, Revo. I forget. There's a 3D scanner out there, but usually those models are incredibly detailed, so they have lots of polygons and triangles, and what this tool does is it lets you dumb that down so that the slicer can handle it in a more efficient fashion. And then it all
and the other good thing about that is if you've ever brought a model, an STL, into a CAD program and then converted it from an STL with what it was, a B wrapper, I can't remember what it is, but you convert it so that you can actually edit it. It puts so many faces in there that that when you end up exporting it back out, it's got way more than you need. And so if you forgot to simplify it in your conversion back to STL in your CAD program, now you have a way to do that, which is, or if let's say pulled something off Thingiverse that someone did that with, now you have a way to not overburden your horsepower.
And that's the other thing they have done as well, is they claim to have optimized, and I believe the claim, I just haven't actually like sat down and really paid attention yet. So they say that they can slice 2 to 4 times faster than they used to, and they're already slicing faster than all the other stuff, so that's pretty fast. And then they have better support for multi-model sequential printing. So and if you guys have used the feature in Kira or other slicers like Simplify, it draws a little a circle around the object that basically lets you know what the footprint is, or has to be, for that object to print. So
I actually was playing with that the other day because I was doing a batch of parts, and I said I want like 3 versions of this model, and it puts each of the models that are the same in a per instance group, and you can actually take that group and move it around on the screen so it prints just that group at one time. It's actually the logic and whatnot that they've done to handle it.
Like they have done nice. A very all their features when they add new ones just seem very thought out, and it feels like they are taking community driven requests serious. Like if you look at the go to their GitHub and look at the requests and the pull logs, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, we'll do it. There's some stuff that you might not use and you might use. One is the profile comparator. That's not the official name, but I was going to say I've used it too. Yeah.
I've used it.
It's
actually really handy.
Strongest features, I think, that a lot of people won't use, which is sad.
Well, I was having troubles with one of my profiles, and I couldn't remember what the heck I did to break it, so, shall we say. And so I compared the two, and I found the what I had tweaked, and it wasn't what I thought it would.
It's like, wait, what?
I would have done, right?
Yep.
And so it's like, whoa. So if you are really nerdy, geeky, and you really are a profile tweaker, or you want to compare why your profile that you currently have isn't working as good as, let's say, maybe the stock profile, you can kind of get a good idea of what's going on.
I'll say it out loud again because I've been saying it for a while, but the stock profiles are so darn good these days. There's two more, I think, big features and one little one. But let's start with one of the ones that's my favorite one. Like, I'm going to go with almost all-time favorite in the whole update. You can drag a model below the bed now. So you can move a model below the bed and you don't have to cut it and then save the top and keep cutting it. And
Kira always used to be able, I think you had to put a checkbox to allow you to do that.
The life hack to split the models that we use in Kira?
Oh, man. Yeah, well, the other thing that was nice was every once in a while you got someone who made a really nice looking model.
Yeah,
but it wasn't flat.
A lot of times too, that was 3D scans. Like somebody would 360 scan like a porcelain thing or that round ball cat I printed, and then it's just rough, and now you can just go boop and flatten that right out.
Well, even sometimes people would assemble something in Tinkercad or whatever, and it's a nice model. They did a really good job, but maybe they didn't kind of put it flat on the plate. So then but if you trim I don't know, a couple millimeters off the bottom, all of a sudden you didn't have weird supports where you
that happens all the time actually to me. Yeah.
And I use the split feature in Prusa for that. I'll just drag it and I'll say, just cut off the bottom.
And for 90% of the work, the split is probably the way to go. It's just if it's literally for what you just said or what you were talking about, just making a flat bottom model, it's so nice just to be able to without having to cut. So there is that, which is actually really exciting. And then the way that, we know that Prusa Slicer has built-in support for Octoprint and sending print jobs to remote servers. I think they support Duet Wi-Fi now.
Yes.
And I do think they support Klipper natively now. But I think that.
Yep.
Have you?
I've done it.
Sweet. But they've changed the way that it looks. So when you do it now, it doesn't open the print queue by default. There's just a little window that shows you what's happening. And then of course, every other software on the planet, they're spying on you in a good way. They've added the ability to send anonymized performance data back to them to.
And I think it's opt-in when you set it up.
Welcome.
So.
Yeah, it is. It is opt-in and stuff. So you'll know you're doing it. But those are the biggest, I think. Yeah. Noteworthy, unless you can think of something other than
no, I think those are the big ones. And again, use whatever works for you. So if Kira works for you, use Kira. But I have I think I still, my go-to is Prusa, and then if I need tree supports, it's Kira. So yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's just most things other things this. I mean, Super Slicer is a kid that plays in the same pool. But
it's basically they just did a clone of Prusa, and then they're literally changing syntax. So if it says print, they change it from print to send or something, right? So it's
I think back to the simplified 3D days. Oops, sorry, right? I actually mean when they were relevant. So 4 or 5 years ago, I think back then, and they termed the word wall, but Kiro used shells. So then lots of people would be giving instructions and going, oh, just change your wall count, and everybody's like, well, I don't have a wall setting. How do I do that? And that's what Super Slicer is basically doing is.
Yeah, and I'm okay with them, if it wasn't, if it didn't quite make sense and the new version makes sense and then everyone adopts it, I'm okay with that. But if it's just changing it for changing sake,
yeah, that's just it, right? Like change for change sakes. Yeah. I think that as mature slicers go, the ones that are company driven right now, like Kira and Prusa Slicer, I haven't played with Idea Maker actually in the last little bit, but I'm sure some of you guys use.
Yeah, and I haven't played with what's the E3D one. Pathio. I haven't played with that one in a while either.
No contest price yet. Someone forgot, but question mark. I think we did the whole thing.
Unless Spool didn't send out the certificates yet to the 2 winners. Yeah, I'll check with Derek on Monday.
We'll double check, because I thought it was dealt with, honestly.
Yeah, no, he said he was gonna email it to the dudes, the 2 winners. So
that's so long ago. I don't remember things like yesterday. So remembering that far back. So Greg and I are hosting another one of our fantastic 3D printing workshops where we build and stuff, and in the process of doing this, we actually added another level. My favorite is when I was talking with people, we had like the beginner and then the advanced and then advanced. That was my favorite tile, but nobody got on board with advanced.
Yeah.
But in talking about that, we got to looking at some boards for upgrading and along the lines of firmware even. But one of the things we looked at was the Pico board from Big Tree Tech.
Yeah, and we were trying to understand, what it was, because neither of us, I think, had really.
We saw the release notes when it first came out. There wasn't really nothing.
What it was, and I think I assumed that it was just like an integrated Raspberry Pi.
Well,
but
it isn't, right?
We've since learned. Well, it's not. It's made by the Raspberry Pi Corporation, but it's a hobby board. It's a hobby CPU, similar to STM32.
Fairly similar. I think when you look at them, they're fairly close together in spec. I mean, so if you guys don't know what we're talking about, the Pico boards have the Raspberry Pi 2040 processor on them.
Versus the STM32.
Yeah, like
or another
or something like that. I mean, they're both microprocessor controllers. They both do similar functions. The Raspberry Pi one actually has a little bit of an edge when it comes to like clock speed, and it's dual core.
Right. You have a really good chart. Well, we're talking.
Me to crash okay, hold on, everybody.
We'll see if he can do it without crashing the stream.
Greg. And yes, Raymond's right. Like, share, subscribe. Okay. He always says and remember that we don't, but like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for being here. You guys are all amazing people. But yes, Helds, we will look into that and just double check with Spool. Unless, did he miss the day we did it? Is that what he's asking? I don't remember.
I don't know. But the draw happened and the winners were announced.
We'll just verify stuff. Okay, now this button. And here we go. Let's see the moment of truth. Yay. It's not crashed, I don't think. So we do have kind of like an easy-ish chart. I don't know what all the stuff on the side is. So, but like we can see here on this chart that the Pi chip actually does a lot more than the STMF, but where the Pi is different, Greg, where the Pi differs is actually in the input output and ports available to it.
Yeah, it kind of tweaks a bit. Like it's the ADC, there's slightly less, but then there's and one less UART. And then the PWM.
Right.
There's one more.
And then the GPIO ports.
Right?
So like the pinout of your Arduino, there's actually more on the STM32 than there are on the 2040.
Yeah. So for most applications, that's not a big deal. I think if you got into something like you looked at your Octopus boards or your Spider boards, when you've got so many of the PWM and so many of the GPIO used up for their advanced features and the number of stepper motors and control and UART and whatnot, I think that's where you would run into some limitations with the RP 2040. But for most boards, it's probably fine. But the most interesting thing to me, really, was the price.
The price is where it gets really different. And the Raspberry Pi costs $1, whereas the STM32 costs $3.50. So it's almost 3 times the price to get an STM32 controller, processor chip than the Raspberry Pi 2040. So like, and does one truly outshine the other and make it worthwhile to like spend $3.50 to get it? I don't think so, unless you're needing input variants, because the 2040 supports the same languages, which means you could interpolate Marlin.
The only other real difference is probably the USB support, right? Because you've got USB 2 on the STM32 and you only got 1.1.
That is
so that would be the big difference. But really, like if you were running just Klipper, or if you're using it for what it was meant to be, is like it's meant to be an Arduino replacement. So if you're doing a small project and you just want one of their Pico boards, which is like a nano or size board or whatnot, it's got tons of power for that.
Yeah, there's lots of. I mean, if we think back to when we were using Arduinos and ramp boards and just slapping them on the top, like that's basically what we're getting at here. And they did actually release a better. Like after the let me see if I can do this without crashing the server or the stream. They did release a release note that kind of gives you an idea of what their overall vision is now, not just like the Facebook picture that they had with marketing information. And this is where we're kind of like, you know what, that is kind of cool, but it's not what we thought. So I have it here. Let me I'll do this and we'll go back. Now Greg doesn't know what this is because he can't see. Well, like my screen is a few seconds back, but this is the actual Big Tree Tech site, BigQ, because BigQ is the one that makes the hardware and stuff. But here's a picture of the Pico, and then you can see here they're docking it on top of a Pi. So there's 2 versions. There's like a Pro and a non-Pro Pico, and then you can see here that they're docking it on a Pi 0, and then everything hooks up. And that one is the one that intrigues me, Greg. That's the one that.
Yeah, no, it has basically a cable that you plug on the hat, and the hat doesn't plug directly into the bottom of the Pico. There, you put a hat, and then there's a little cable that plugs into the top where they have a UART connection. So it's basically you just buy. You can do this right now with most other boards too, but it's basically bypassing the USB bus and going UART.
Direct. It's one less conversion in line, basically.
Yes.
The other cool thing is they've really thought about form factor on it. So when you're looking at building or designing and putting it in on a printer. It's actually small form, easy to work around, and that kind of stuff. They show it on a Voron on their little site on a V0.
Yeah, I like that the connectors go in
horizontally
from the side. Yeah, because then cable management can be a little bit.
The only
cleaner.
thing I wish, and I don't. This is like, it would be impossible. It would be like a wish list that couldn't happen. But like, if you could get all the connections pointing the same way, but the board would be huge. Yeah.
But I think they balanced it as best they could. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But if you can mount it, and then you have your maybe high voltage on the one side, and then your right, I can see. Like, it took me a while to figure out how I was routing all my cabling in my new printer. So,
a new printer, you say? That's right, you do have a new printer. So that's the rundown. So basically, I'm on board with the Pico. I really am, and I think for many things it will do really good.
It is funny that they compare it to their largest board that they could put in there.
Look at this octopus versus the.
Yeah, like you couldn't compare it with, like, I don't know,
like an
one of their more popular boards, or even just like one of their E3 boards, right? Because that's probably, because of the number of processors on it, it's not. Or steppers that are on it, you can't compare it to that the octopus, because you've only got 4 steppers,
right?
so at least compare it to with another board that has steppers, but then it wouldn't
and I think that words are hard right now for me. I think that, like, comparing it to like the SKR in there is a much more realistic thing than here's the octopus, or YouTube's having some issues, folk. It's not us. There's some service errors being reported. So if you're having issues with the resolution, as I've seen one person anyway, make sure to hard set it in whatever you're viewing in the settings button.
I have mine hard set super low and muted, so that I can kind of
mine
monitor
is
us.
The same. I want low.
So I saw a very blurry image of a Pico board.
So I'll get to change the order up a little bit on what we're talking about, because we talked about your printer. So let's talk about your printer. Greg's printer's done.
All right. So over the Christmas break, a lot of people joined me for some live streams, and my Boron Zero's done. Hulk is done. So I don't know if you can see him way in the background over there, kind of sort of.
Here, hold
that's
on.
Not a frame, but I will do a actual review on it, and my thought processes about building the kit and stuff. But I also got a serial number. So I went through the process, and I'm serial number V0.1233. So 1,233 have been built at the time that I got my serial number, or at least submitted to receive a serial number. I'm sure more than that have been built. To receive your serial number, what you do is you film your printer printing one of the little Voron cubes to verify that it's working properly, and you kind of show that you've done it all correctly. In the little video, you kind of just pan around, you submit it on their Reddit page, put all your info of your Discord user and whatnot, and then you get a notification on Discord of what your serial number is. I think it only took 2 or 3 days, so that was kind of
a nice little finishing process for the printer, for sure.
Well, and then you've accomplished something. They've given you official, as
Right.
official as it can be, serial number and whatnot. And then I've been doing lots of playing around with Klipper on it, because this is going to be my first real exposure to Klipper. So I've learned about a lot of tweaking features. I did the stock way of setting it up first, which was using the Pi with Octoprint, and then just following the docs to, and basically it's the Klipper recommended way of setting up. And then after playing with that a bit, I'm like, okay, well, now that I kind of understand this is my config file, and this is how you flash the board. Then I loaded on Mainsail. So there's Fluid and Mainsail. Those are your two more popular third-party management tools. They're more of an Octoprint replacement. Instead of using Octoprint, you use Mainsail or Fluid, and it gives you your control interface. But the nice thing that it does is it's reminiscent of the web interface to RepRap, where you can then go in and edit the config files directly. Similar formatting, but you can go in and you can add pin numbers. You can add another MCU. So your MCU is your controller, so you can reflash it. So I've added I had another one of these. This is a MKS Gen L. And because the board I had in there only has 2 thermistors available, I needed another one because I wanted to monitor the ambient temperature of the chamber. And so I went through and I figured out how to add another board, and you just plug it into the USB on the Pi, and you can flash it, and away you go. You can have as many controllers as you want. And so it's, I think you're interested in Klipper too, and so I think we're gonna have to do some deep dives on Klipper just to expose people. And you know what? It's easier. My first impression is it's definitely easier to use than for someone who's maybe new or doesn't know programming than Marlin and Visual Code setting it up. It's very simplified in number of steps.
The only thing I wish we could get to is, and Duet does it very well, is there's like a wizard that makes the config file. And the reason I wish for that isn't for me or you. It's if they could do that for a brand new user, I think that would be really cool.
Yep. They do have quite a few, and this is where I went. There's a example config for various types of printers, and there's example configs for almost all the popular boards. And that I was able to utilize that to get my MKS going fairly quickly. But you're right. If there was like the wizard that I want to do an IDEX, I want to do this, and I can have these boards, and I want 3-steppers on this board and 3-steppers on this board, and then I want my end stops on this board, like just a quick wizard to then generate a code. And obviously you might have tweaking to do. But I could see that as being
it
really
would be a big feature, but an easy feature, because since everything is driven in a config file, it's not as bad as use Marlin. Not that Marlin's bad, but like all of the things are spread through a precompiled file, and that makes it hard to edit on the fly unless you're doing EEPROM. So I think that like, how many guys are using Klipper, I guess, right now? Anybody? What's your favorite flavor for control on the Raspberry Pi if you're using it? Fluid, Mainsail, Octoprint? Let us know.
Yeah. The one downside that I've ran into so far is it doesn't like using Stealth Chop. You can supposedly, I say supposedly because I haven't got it to work, force it into stealth chop mode so that the frequency drops and you get quieter prints. But it seems to, so far, no matter what I've done, it seems to stay in spread cycle, and so it's
so
a little
you
noisier.
lose the silent portion.
But I mean, they do have notes on their site that they recommend because these are supposed to be used in a high speed type of scenario. So when you use stealth chop, you do, because you're smoothing the torque curve and everything, you do lose some torque. And so when you're looking at the high speed scenario, I understand that. But when I'm just playing around and whatnot, I want
for sure, quiet. Right? Like, but I again, like, that's like in hybrid mode, and people wonder why their printer is really loud when it's homing. Well, because you have it in hybrid still. But yeah, I started because I haven't built Klipper since it almost original release. Like, that's how long it's been since I used it. So yesterday I took time to make a new VM to put my Pi hole on, and then I actually installed the Raspberry Pi OS on a Hyper-V platform. So it's running a Pi, and then so that's running my Pi hole, so that clears up my Pi 4 now. And my vision, I made the joking statement to Greg yesterday, but my vision is I want to run every single printer off that Pi. So
you need a USB 3 hub so you can connect all the printers.
The other joke I made too is let's just stack all of our Raspberry Pis together in a cluster, and you could,
which you could.
That's a real nerdy joke. I don't know if you all know what clusters are in relation to computers, but basically you just make them all work together as one. They're the Borg.
Speaking of clusters, what I saw the other day, which I thought was really cool, is they had a hat that goes on a Raspberry Pi 4 with like 8 gig, and then it had a whole bunch of mini what are the little modules, the compute modules, stuck in the hat. So it was like you had like 8 Pis or something on one Pi.
I mean, it would definitely
to make
work,
a mini
right?
cluster. It was I guess, but at that point you've spent so much
you might as well
money that you have to have a really good reason for it.
Yeah, microcomputers have their place, and one of the best places and uses for us is actually in a Pi, or the Pi in the printer, sorry. Or you could use a Pi as a CNC controller, which is what I do. But that one has to, if you're doing CNC controlling, you need a Pi 4 better. For the Pi 3 works, but it is slow, and it will send the commands are very jerky. It's entertaining to watch the CNC try to do it. Shake itself off the table, but it's not on our show note list, but I do want to talk about one more thing. But before we talk about one more thing, we got to mention what we did at work in the microwave.
that was actually pretty funny. So at work, we get a lot of networking equipment, and they come with decent sized desk end packets. I might even have one to show you. But we literally throw them at each other.
It's like dodgeball.
Here's one. So and they're pretty decent sized desk end packets, and
actually
you can't see on camera probably, but if you look, it's kind of pink.
Back up a bit.
Color inside.
Yeah, there. Now you can see it.
It's a little bit pink inside, so these ones need to be recharged.
Yeah.
And so David discovered something.
So like I've seen a lot of 3D printing guys be like, well, to recharge them, yeah, you can really tell that one's pink. To recharge them, you just put them in the oven for a while. They recharge. No, you're doing it wrong. I mean, yeah.
Well, it's true. It does work.
There's a better way that takes about 25 seconds. You take about that size of desiccant, whether it's like loose pellets or that package, put it in the microwave and hit go for 25 seconds. And I think it was a 1,000-watt microwave that it went into. And you get two bonuses. Yeah. One, it comes out and all the pellets are recharged. It's a great pack if you have a sore arm or something, because now it's warm.
It's a heat pack.
It's a magic beanie bag or whatever.
But, I think the one site you said recommended putting it on lower power and whatnot. You wouldn't want to like put this in there for like 5 minutes and actually start a fire or melt.
And that's what would happen eventually, especially in like that cloth packaging. Is something would happen, but like it was one of those things that I tried before I even knew you could do it, and it makes sense why it works. But like like microwaves may vary, wattages may vary, so just go a little and then see.
Absolutely,
but it does work and it is safe.
And then what did we do after you tried that experiment?
Oh yeah, then we Googled. Somebody done it.
And someone else
haven't
seen
it actually in any of the big channels for 3D printing. It's just something that I haven't seen anybody try, and I'm like, ooh, so there you go. You can microwave it and just keep it low and slow, and check it now and again. And like Greg says,
and so I'm gonna go through all my tubs with my desiccant in it, and
recharge them,
and pull them out and recharge them and throw them back in, because it is totally reusable. And the reason why it works is, the premise of how a microwave works.
Water.
A microwave is designed to vibrate water molecules, and if you vibrate them out of a desiccant packet,
I will use a word of caution too. One is not all desiccant turns from pink to blue. Some of it just is. So don't use that as a marker. Like some of it goes clear.
Some of it goes clear.
Use your head while you're doing it. And make sure that you're not overdoing it. The other thing too is don't do it unattended, because some of the desiccant stuff, it does have impurities in it, and those impurities can off-gas or metal, and then you'll get a spark show as well.
So you're saying it'd be like putting a grape in the microwave and you get the spark?
Would be exactly like that, or a fork. Don't do that. By the way, we are not endorsing putting those, but it's
we do not endorse burning your house down.
But so when you're doing it, just maybe do a small batch first, just to make sure that it's going to be okay. And then like literally, like what takes hours in the oven takes 25 seconds to get out of the microwave.
I think we should get a couple different desiccant packets, and maybe soak them in water, or something, to get the change to happen, and do some visual changes and see how each of them work.
Ray says I usually toss them in the bottom of my flash forge until I need them, and that's a good way to do it too, for anybody that has like those Dremel flash
enclosed printers,
kind of looking enclosed printers. You can just throw them in the bottom, and then they eventually like kind of dry. I will say right now, being dry is not a problem in southern Alberta anyway. The relative humidity is like 12.
Until
it's
next
gonna rain though, so winter's a good time for filament. Except for the fact that your heater has to.
It is. If you're in a colder country, and it's below freezing outside, there's not a lot of moisture in the air.
Open that filament up and let it dry
out. Just add some moisture to your house. Open up all your filament. We're not endorsing.
I endorse many things, but yeah, safety is the first one. But yeah, so there is the desiccant in the microwave a bit. I would encourage everybody to try it with caution because it's amazing. So we're almost out of time, and being that, I'm going to remind people to like, share, and subscribe because why not do it at the end, right?
Let's do.
And then I'm going to pop up this most special of pictures for 3D printing church. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys make a lot of the projects happen that do happen. And we sure appreciate you. You can check it out at patreon.com/3dmakeit. Greg's there. I'm there.
Yep.
Ray's there.
Thanks, everyone.
Greg's there. We could list all of the people. Helge is there.
Yeah. Helge is there.
Now, we do have a legacy Discord where we post updates to, but we don't like actively...
Did you see what Stig just posted?
So Stig, I have not. I've seen it on the forums many a time. It's a terrible idea, and I love it when people try it. So,
I mean, if you've ever tried to heat anything in the microwave, you get very good hot spots in certain places. So if you really want to wreck your filament, put it on high for 10 minutes.
If you were trying to make a puddle, do it. So there's one more thing, and it's not on the list. It's a new feature in Marlin 2.0.9.3. And it has varying effects, and we've had some interesting discussion on it. So, like, I mean, Marlin, the new version, you can say, like, yeah, they did a bunch of updates, added profiles, drivers, boards, whatever. One feature they did add is the ability to save your config file to a zip. And
yes, it's kind of cool.
It's
actually
cool, and it's not cool. I'm on the ambivalent side of it, but
it's if you've got an older printer with one of the original Melzi boards or something, it's not.
No, it's specifically designed for
because you're already limited on
32-bit boards because the compile. Yeah.
Well, and which makes sense because you actually have storage and more RAM and more flash.
So basically, what it does.
So.
And then this is at a very high level, is you enable it in your, I think it's in the config advanced file. And when you hit compile, what it does is not only does it compile your firmware into the firmware.bin, but it's actually inserting the config as a zip into that. And it's actually a JSON file. So it's just a list of all of the configurable options in basically a table.
Yeah, it adds a little H file or whatever that they compile into the binary, and which has all the JSON settings and the JSON file and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
And
it's all embedded
it's cool
in there,
and not. And
really
here's
cool.
why I say it's cool and not. I have a copy of all my firmware. I keep a copy of what I've compiled in my Google Drive with revisions, and it says what one's on my app printer right now and everything. So that actually means that my list is better than that file. I think
true, unless your computer crashed
Google would have
and
to
you
die.
lost everything. But here's where I think is where it could get better. Let's say you bought a brand new printer. And it came with a 32-bit board, and it had the newest Marlin on it, and it had this feature miraculously enabled because we know how
took 4 years to get thermal
manufacturers enable.
Crazy.
I know, but let's just say it's a miraculous world where this happens. You now have all the settings that they threw into Marlin when they compiled this board, so you have a good base to start your own version,
and I think
of Marlin. So I think that's where the benefit could be. No, will it benefit you and I?
I think I think of my good friend Raymond, and I think of if people bring printers into us even for repair. I think that's where it will shine. when you bring your printer in and I have no idea what it's doing, I can just look at the JSON file now, get all the settings and have a head start. Because like one of the first things we ask is when people like, well, my printer's doing this and I can't go to, well, I need you to send me your config advanced and config files before I can even, guess at firmware. Whereas this would let you just send that one file. I think,
Yeah.
I think.
I haven't tried they have a process where they take the JSON file and then they, like if you have a virgin copy of Marlin, it allows you to import it
it's all
in
built into the,
I haven't tried that yet. And so that might be a video or something that one of us should do to kind of show the process.
I think that like the overarching problem with it is to like it's done at compile. I think it would be a really cool feature if once you compile it and you trigger the command to extract it, which is just M503 with a switch. But I think if it could dump your EEPROM at the same time into that file, because you'd have a live rendition. Because like, for example, right?
Because
like
you might have tweaked it in
height,
between.
stuff like that, or the stepper current. All of that's in the config.
Yeah. Instead of the default settings, which is it's dumping your as-built
you get like
tweaks.
Yeah, so you get like the non-configurable part of your configuration in the JSON, but you also get the EEPROM. And I think that would be cool, but...
So, Scott, if you're listening, because I know you listen to our...
No, I talked to him once.
Please add that as
a feature. I think... And it wouldn't be hard since it's a JSON file. However, Marlin would have to rewrite itself so that it had the ability to trigger that on the controller. So that's where it could be a little tricky.
Well, they if they already have those settings in the JSON file, streaming it when it's creating the zip file or pulling the zip file out, either a second file or have it create it in the zip file as you do it, I wouldn't think would be that bad. So you'd either have to do a second file with those as built configs.
Greg's volunteering to build it.
Or as
you just said it wouldn't be that bad.
I'm not a programmer. But it should be easy enough to do because you can run the M503 and you get the current settings,
it would
right?
Just be a parser.
So it would be part of the M503 command at that point.
But it'd just be a process change is all it is. So that's a new feature. Yeah. It's probably the coolest new feature that's been in Marlin since like 2.091 released.
And you know what happened? I put Marlin 2.0.9.2 on my printer.
Yeah.
Guess what? They used the next day.
It's always that way. No matter what you do, you're always going to get the firmware change right after. So if you want new firmware, just message Greg.
Yeah. And I'll flash my newest printer and. The other amazing thing, all my printers are printing, and I validated that everything's working good and everything. So I'm starting off the year with my full fleet.
Me too, but Greg knows how I roll. If one is broken, they're all broken. So I have to make sure all of them work all the time. It's obsessive and compulsive, and I love it. Except the Legend. It's in the corner.
Well, okay, I don't count that one
because
it's
not a printer. It's thinking about what it's doing.
It's going to be rebuilt. I know Ray has come quite a long ways on his IDEX project, and now that Hulk is done, that's one of my next projects.
But friends, we have reached what we like to term the top of the hour. I'm just kidding. Everybody calls it the top of the hour. So we are going to bid you a fond farewell. But thank you for tuning in, joining us, hanging out Sunday. It's great to be back.
Thanks everyone for coming out, and just so the winners know, we will be confirming with Derek at Spool that he reached out to both of you, and because our winners were because there was only 3 entries.
I don't remember though. We'll have to watch the video.
So
sure.
Ben was a winner.
You're making dangerous promises.
I think it was
if
Helge.
You don't remember.
I think it was Ben and Helge.
We'll look. We'll check.
Because it was only Ben, Helge, and Pierre that entered.
So I'm gonna say I'm not committing to anything. I've put no.
David's non-committal. Yep. But either way, we will. I have the email I sent to Derek, and he had confirmed. So I will just confirm that, and the winners will be notified, and we'll make sure that you got it. And if he did send it out, please check your spam on your computers or your junk folder, just in case. It would most likely be from Spool 3D.
Can't confirm nor deny. Anyway, you guys are great. Have a good one. We'll see you again. Bye.